everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you? Everything is fine here. Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. How's everyone doing today? I'm Michael Mudge, and I'm joined here with
Greg Van Beck. Good to be back after last week's absence due to work. That little thing that gets in the way. Yep. But good to be back. Good to be talking Star Wars.
And also joined with
Double D's.
And
how's it going, guys?
I'm going to still call you Shelf Boy all the time. It's just
that's fine. I like that nickname. I did put a lot of shelves together in my day.
I will say it's a little ironic too, the lack of shelves behind you.
Well,
you build them for. I do see one kind of to your side, but and a mirror.
Yeah. Well,
and a workout machine that's strategically placed.
Yeah, because you can see my bald spot, and in the man, getting old sucks. I need some Rogaine or something. Not to be confused with Rogan. I don't want conspiracy theories in my head.
Well, I need to get the grays out of my beard, so I need some hair dye or whatnot. So
I'm good.
Greg's good.
I'm good. No gray, no bald. Yeah.
Greg's just living the life. Still living like he's in his 20s.
Listen, I'm living life.
Greg's kids walking already, just flaunting it everywhere.
Dude, until that's where the grays and the bald will come. Give me when do kids start dating nowadays? I don't even know. I mean, back in my day, you waited till you were like 22.
In your day, you mean our day?
I'm a little older than you, so there was a different day.
A month.
I
guess it's a different year, though. It is a different year.
Exactly. So, but
85 versus 86.
That's right. But that's when the grays are going to come. When all the little boys or girls or whatever they are, called at that point in life, when they come a knocking, that's when all the hair goes.
Well, and I have no idea why mine is turning gray. Bad genes, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yes, we are all back to talk some Star Wars.
We're missing one.
We are missing one. He will be joining us again next week. We are dying to find out how he wraps up his whole sequel trilogy, Retcon Bullets. So we will be talking about that next time. But have a couple of news articles that we came across that we thought are kind of interesting and could spur some conversation. I know this first one, so it deals a lot with Greg's love for Han Solo and that, the movie and his whole story. So Donald Glover all but confirms that he will be returning to Star Wars when he was asked by another one of Greg's favorites, Jimmy Kimmel, about the Lando project. So he's making it seem that the potential Disney Plus will utilize him instead of Billy D. Williams. So there is a show, Lando series coming out. And I know everyone was wondering, is this going to revolve around Donald Glover? Is it going to revolve around Billy D. Williams? Maybe both. Maybe they'll find a way to bring them both in, like through flashbacks or whatnot. And I know there was the cliffhanger at the end of the Rise of Skywalker where Billy D. Williams is talking to one of the girls that Finn and friends run into. And it almost made it seem like she was his daughter. If you recall at the end of that, they're like, oh, let's go find out your story. So it kind of made it seem like maybe it would be Billy D. Williams, but Donald Glover seems like he's confirming it could be him.
Billy D. Williams.
So when
why can't it be both?
And that's what I'm wondering. It could be both too. And again, like utilizing those flashbacks, maybe they'll make that work somehow. That would be pretty cool. Bringing both of those actors in for the same show.
Put Billy D. Williams in the Bacta tank, and now he's Donald Glover.
Yeah, because is the Bacta tank just anyone that's in it? All you ever do is have flashbacks. That's apparently what happens. So
that is my understanding. If you learn nothing from Book of Boba, that's what you take.
Or if Luke Skywalker touches you like Grogu has his little flashback of Order 66. So
what happens if Luke Skywalker touches you in the Bacta tank?
The Force ceases to exist. But yeah, so Donald Glover was on the Jimmy Kimmel show and he was asked about the Lando project. And Donald Glover quotes, "Am I?" I'm guessing he was asked, like, are you involved? Just telling all my business. No, yeah, I have a lot of things. I like to blossom, then go away. What does that mean? Like, I like to show up in items and then like not be seen for a extended period of time.
Yeah, he just, he pops in, he does, Community, he does, Star Wars, he just,
and then I'm going to disappear for a while.
Yeah. Childish Gambino, he does that, and then he went away, and now he's back because he had This Is America, Atlanta. He was in, so he's bounced. He's really been in quite a bit lately. So wouldn't surprise me.
And he even mentions that. He says, right now I'm definitely the start of another one of those. I have like a ton of stuff I've been working on, but I just want it all to come out at the same time. So I feel that's what's important. So is the Lando show going to be one of these that he's referring to? What do you guys think? Do you think do you think this Lando show will actually happen? I think that's another one of those questions, but
I would say yes.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think Donald Glover is such a well-known actor and he plays such a great role. And I think that was one of the positives that came out of Solo was everyone loved how well Donald Glover portrayed that character. So
do you bring Solo in? Do they bring Harrison Ford? If it's Billy D. Williams, do you bring Harrison Ford back? Or do you bring
Eldridge?
Yeah.
I think
bring him back if it's Donald Glover.
Yeah, I think if it's Donald Glover, you bring Eldridge back. And I think if it's Billy D. Williams, you bring Han Solo back. So could you have all four of them if it is those flashback situations? So I don't know. Those are cool things to think about. More characters that I'm dying for more material on, and I think a lot of Star Wars fans are. Speaking of new shows, we have some more casting calls coming up or have been announced. So Christopher Lloyd, if you all probably know him as Doc from Back to the Future, it's been announced that he will have a role in The Mandalorian. We don't know who he's going to be or what he's going to portray, but I think that's a pretty cool casting right there.
When I think Christopher Lloyd, I think of Camp Nowhere.
Camp Nowhere. Which one is that again?
Dude, that was like that little one-off show of all the kids that were going to summer camps, but they, their parents wanted them to go to like theater camp, military camp, tech or computer camp, and they didn't want to go, so they all just went and found some like random like cabin, and they just ton of people all went, and Christopher Lloyd was like the supervisor. Or
I don't think I've seen that.
Dude,
have you seen that, Dustin? No.
So fun fact though, our Doc, right? The dog.
Yeah.
I didn't know this, but Callie named him after Doc from Back to the Future.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah. Yep.
That's impressive.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. When did you find that out?
Like a couple weeks ago. I've only been married to her for a couple of years, and
so when we find out the name of his character in the Mandalorian show, the next dog you get, is she going to name it that character?
He won't, but you darn bet I will now.
So yeah, Christopher Lloyd will be in The Mandalorian season 3, and then David Heyman will be in Andor. And Greg, I think you were looking up David Heyman up a little more. Can you remind me what he's known for? Or what he's been portrayed in? No.
A lot of it was like a lot of British. I mean, he's been acting since 1972.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
I know he's an older gentleman.
Yep.
I'm just not familiar with the name.
No, neither. It seems like he got some like bit roles, here and there. He was in Braveheart back in 1995 as McLaughlin.
Yeah.
He was in The Jackal.
Okay, that's the movie, or that was what you were talking about. That he was in The Jackal.
It's a jackal. It's a jackal. It's a jackal.
Wasn't right the first time. Why would it be right the next 100 times?
He was, if you ever saw the BBC original series Robin Hood,
Robin Hood.
from back, it was like 15 years ago now. He was in that, played a role. So yeah, I mean, it's, from what I'm seeing, it's smaller kind of bit roles. Like, I don't see anything where it was like starring. No, that could be, maybe he was. I don't watch a lot of BBC TV, so maybe he's a big star across the pond. Which, if he is, kudos. He's gotta be a heck of an actor, because his career, like I say, spans from 1972 to now 2022. No mathematician, but that sounds like what, 50 years?
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
I like that math. Makes it easier.
Right.
Rounded.
Yeah. So, and he's Scottish actor. I mean,
Gotta love a Scottish accent.
wasn't Sean Connery Scottish?
Yeah, he was Scottish.
There you go.
That's all you need to know.
I'm assuming this is Sean Connery Jr. That's my assumption.
So does that make it seem like he might play someone from the Empire side of things? Because
that's what it really feels like it. Yeah.
That would be my guess, just
Mhm.
with the accent and everything. So, and then going back to Mandalorian. So, Carl Weathers confirms that season 3 has been wrapped up, and I think we know that one's going to come probably December.
I would think so.
End of the year. I know they say it's 2022, but it's probably going to be more in 2023 than it is in 2022.
We're probably looking at that November drop, like they did before.
Yeah. So November, December, and then into probably January, because I think there are 8 episodes, right?
Yeah.
8 chapters, I should say. And then with the Andor show, it was announced that it's going to be released in August, so 12 episodes. So all these announcements just make me wonder where the Bad Batch is going to fall in, because that's another show that's going to come out in 2012. And we know that Kenobi series, 2022. We know that.
Man, please, I want to go back.
What's that? You don't want to go back to 2012?
Go back in time.
Mayan calendar, end of the world, 2012. But yeah, so if the Kenobi series is coming out in a few weeks, no, not a few weeks, about a month, in May, and then Andor's in August, are they going to be able to fit Bad Batch in between those 2 shows? Because there's a lot of episodes in Bad Batch.
Why not?
Are they going to? Because they don't ever overlap, I feel like.
Well, when does sorry, so it's getting released in August, right?
Yep, August.
So, all right. So if we do August, so August 1st, you're 1, 2, 3, 4.
It would have to be before. Well, so you got 3 months pretty much of episodes for Andor.
So that would, if they dropped beginning that first week of August, it would take you to August or October, like 22nd, possibly. It'd be right around there. So the 16th to the 22nd, depending on which day of the week they're dropping those episodes. Yeah, that's where it would take you.
And then Kenobi is pretty much May. So then Bad Batch, June, July.
Well, how many episodes is Bad Batch?
Wasn't it around? I'm trying to think of season 1. Was it around like 12 episodes, 12, 15? I want to say.
Could be.
So that's my guess of what the order will be, and just interesting that we haven't heard anything. At least I haven't heard anything about when the next season of Bad Batch will drop, and I haven't heard anything about it being delayed. So you figure it's got to be somewhere around there, probably before Andor. And then, being that it was Oscar season, pretty cool that the first male deaf Oscar winner, Troy, it's either Katsur or Kutsur, one or the other, won it for his supporting role in Coda. So he didn't win it for anything Star Wars, but you might recall that he was in the Book of Boba, and he was one of the Tusken Raiders, and one of them that was teaching Boba like the sign language and everything for the Tusken Raider tribe. So congratulations to Troy for winning his Oscar. I know before we jumped on the recording, Greg and I were kind of looking at all the Oscars that Star Wars has won throughout the past. And predominantly within the original trilogy, and more specifically, predominantly in A New Hope. But it sounds like 9 total Oscar award winners.
Yeah, sounded that. Yeah, and it was all like audio or visual. Original sound. Original score or soundtrack.
John Williams attributed to about half of them.
Yeah.
But many nominations for the entire saga. Again, still many involving John Williams and the scores that he's made. So
yeah,
I know that's something I would like to see more. I know I'm biased, but I would love to see Star Wars win more awards, especially in like the visual effects or sound editing and everything. Because I mean, every time a new Star Wars movie comes out, it's always top-notch technology and everything. So
do you think they set their expectation? Like, people expect Star Wars to come out with that type of technology, so when they do it, like, they're like not blown away by it in a sense, because it's like, oh well, yeah, we expected you. You didn't go above and beyond what I expected. Whereas another category or another movie, you may not expect it as much. I just, you have to wonder if their success in the special effects, side, if it kind of hurts them when it comes to winning awards.
And I think there's an element to that. I think that's probably very true, especially for those type of awards. I think the other thing that kind of hurts Star Wars is that it's a sci-fi movie. And I feel like sci-fi movies don't really excel too much in Oscar awards. And I think we've mentioned in a previous episode that a lot of times awards will come for material that's kind of new or, covering a topic that's, relevant to today's world or, issues and everything. So if you aren't kind of going out on a limb, getting risky with what you're bringing out, then you lessen the chance of getting an award as prestigious as like an Oscar. And I think sci-fi movies are, they're pretty much pure entertainment. They're fitting a niche. So
or the other thing could be that because George Lucas turned his back on the film, society and said, screw you guys, I'm going to do this on my own. Maybe now they're like, you'll never win an award. And so it's just out of spite, they keep them away.
But then what if like the sequel trilogy started winning awards again after he had left? Would that be them rubbing it in?
Yeah, all right.
But then again,
winner,
George
The
Lucas
Last
played a
Jedi.
part. Yeah, exactly. Best Picture, Last Jedi. Every Star Wars fan wants. Talk about division that would come out from that. Greg, don't choke. I know you've had coughing issues today, so as he turns his head to cough. So, what about you, Dustin? Do you think like the sci-fi hinders Star Wars in terms of Oscar, potential awards, or is it just the product that's being brought out isn't Oscar worthy?
I just want to say this. I could not care less about the Oscars. Right? Like, it is a joke to me. First of all, it's a lot of politics.
It is very political.
Look at all the movies that won Oscars. Like, no one saw those movies.
Right?
They're not. How does Spider-Man not win an Oscar? Right? I guess you could say that's part of your little sci-fi deal, right? But
is it bad that I don't even know what won Best Picture this year?
No, it's not, because you're never going to watch it.
What won it? Do you know what won?
I don't know.
Does anything matter other than the slap heard around the world?
And that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
That just the dumbest thing.
That's what speaks to those award shows, is that the number one story coming out of an award show is an act of violence. Like, it's not who won what or any of that, which I get, the act of violence, but it's, you have people condoning it at no point. Like, I don't care if he was defending his wife or not. We're all married. We'd all, in that situation have to, defend our wives. There's a time and a place and a right and a wrong way to do it. And to
Well,
to just go up there and
and to that point, like, are you defending by now bringing out the result that's stemming from it, or are you harming? So
it just but no, like Dustin said, I mean those award shows are jokes.
Yeah.
They're so it's more political than Washington DC.
Yeah.
I mean, so again, my opinion is are there any additional people that are going to watch Star Wars because it won an Oscar? Like, probably not, right? The people that are going to watch it are going to watch it. So I don't care whether they won an Oscar or not. I mean, we're all going to watch it regardless. So I think it's just a fake accolade that Hollywood made up. They love patting them. I mean, every entertainment organization loves patting themselves on the back.
Yep.
Right. And so I don't know. I guess I don't mean to be cynical, but to answer your question, no comment, even though I just made a really long comment.
No, I think a lot of people would agree with that. And I mean, to your point, like I said, I don't even know who won Best Picture. And it's just interesting that in an area where like money drives everything, like entertainment, it's interesting that the movies that earn the most money aren't necessarily dictating the ones that earn the awards. And I feel like Star Wars is how many times like the #1 box office hit. So
so another thing too, the Oscars and all of those award shows have been dramatically declining in viewership.
Yep.
And I just find it extremely coincidental that what happened when it did, and then it was now the only thing people were talking about. And I get it, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense for Chris Rock to take that slap and for Will Smith to do it. I mean, but like you're saying, money runs everything. If they were offered enough money to do that, it could definitely be possible. And we're still talking about it. So,
and let's not forget, what is that room full of at the Academy Awards?
Actors.
So who's to say they are not acting? And I'm not trying to say that in terms of what side I'm on or what I think actually happened or not. But I will say my initial thought, because I wasn't watching the Oscars, when I heard it, my initial thought was, oh, it's probably some, publicity stunt trying to gain viewership because their ratings continue to dwindle year after year. So, but we may never know the truth behind that. All I know is that Troy Kotsur won an Oscar for his role in his supporting role in Coda, and he has ties to Star Wars. So congratulations to him.
And on that note, Coda was your best picture for 2022.
Was it Coda?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So again, like a perfect example of the kind of material that is usually awarded Oscar awards.
Mm-hmm.
So the next topic I kind of want to get into, it kind of feeds off of what Dustin and I were discussing last week with books in Star Wars. And there's a new book that's coming out. And it is called Star Wars Shadow of the Sith, written by Adam Christopher. And I was kind of reading up on what this book is about. And I think this could do a lot specifically for the sequel trilogy. So what I find important about this book is that, one, it is set to dive into the questions left behind after the release of 2019's The Rise of Skywalker, according to Star Wars Newsnet. This book picks up nearly 2 decades after the Battle of Endor and follows Luke and Lando as they investigate Exegol and the mystery surrounding a new Sith menace. And if you look at the cover that's been released, there is a new villain and wielding a red lightsaber, so potentially another Sith here. So I'm very curious what this book might provide. I would think it's going to give insight to, how Snoke came about and how the Sith were still around after the fall of Palpatine. So, Dustin, I think this is a book that you might be interested in, as it's a development of a new villain.
I am probably going to read it. I was kind of looking into it. I saw a post about it on one of the Facebook groups as I was scrolling through Facebook, and I kind of thought it was a joke. Like, I didn't look into it. It seemed more like a fan fiction deal. I guess it's real.
Yeah.
Joke's on me. but I'm definitely going to read it. I will say the how do you pronounce the guy's name? Achi or Ochi?
Ochi?
I don't know. This is not a very intimidating name.
Well, we don't know if that's the bad guy.
Well, he's not. He's definitely not the Sith with the lightsaber that you see.
Right.
I think he's the same species as Maz.
Okay. Is Ochi in the sequel trilogy in the movies?
Yeah, well, I think he's the where they get the dagger from, the dead thing.
Oh, okay.
Because I was just reading the synopsis of the book, and they say, he's got this dagger, right? That's supposed to lead him to Exegol or
Oh,
something.
that's right. He's the one that was found dead in the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
In that sand where that worm was, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm following. Yes.
I think. I mean, that's my guess based on.
And that was his ship that was left behind that they were going to steal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that.
I think that's right.
Watch the movies.
Yeah, I think that's right. We were talking about Empire Strikes
Back. And he works
Back.
for Crimson Dawn.
Okay.
Yep. So he worked with Kira. We might see that come up in the book.
Look at all these elements connecting in.
Yeah. So with that being said, I'm going to read it. I do. I just sometimes I find it hard to get into a book where like what happens after.
Yeah.
I know what happens in Rise of Skywalker and I'm sorry, like Force Awakens and all that. I'm still going to read it, but I don't know if I'm like super excited. I was when you said Shadow of the
Empire.
I was saying maybe like a Shadow of the Empire remake. So, in fact, I when I was looking up the book, I inadvertently Googled Shadow of the Empire. I'm like,
What did it say? Any news on Shadow of the Empire?
No.
We're still gonna have to wait for that then. But I think a book like this, if we think back to the prequel trilogy, because when that was released and shortly after the trilogy was done, I mean, there was a lot of backlash there and a lot of people thinking, there was a division just like there was with the sequel trilogy, talking about it doesn't feel Star Wars-esque and whatnot. But then as soon as either books were being written or other material was coming in and filling like the gaps, then more and more people started to get on board with the prequel trilogy. So I'm wondering and I'm hoping that a similar thing can happen with the sequel trilogy. And, because right now all we really have are those 3 movies. So as we get more material, will that help pave the way to a more acceptance level for the sequel trilogy for those that can't stand it? What do you think?
I mean, it certainly can help bridge the gap. But I think most of people's opinion of the movies are I mean, Clone Wars really changed my opinion of the prequel series.
Exactly.
But this is a book, like you're saying, it's not quite the media that people, will flock to as much as they would like even an animated series. So we'll see. I mean, I'm excited to learn. I'll let you know much because I know I'll read the book faster than you will.
So would you prefer like an animated show revolving around the sequel trilogy or even a live action show?
Live action would
I know you would always prefer, but kind of like you said, how the Clone Wars show kind of paved the way for you to enjoy the prequel trilogy a little more.
I don't think they're going to dedicate the resources to it, nor should they. So I'll just say the book is fine with me.
Sure. No, that makes sense. How about you, Greg?
Well, with this sequel, they tried doing Resistance as a animated, and I think that was a bit of like an offshoot type deal, but it depends on how you do it. Yeah, if you make it very childish, like Resistance was, it doesn't do anything to further the story and do anything to help the the sequel trilogy. If it's done like Clone Wars was, then I think it could help. But I think otherwise, yeah, you just do a few books and fill in some of the plot holes, maybe flesh out the chase scene from The Last Jedi, maybe tell a few more stories during that like day and a half chase scene, or like how they got into it, or was there more going on than they were just kind of floating, chasing each other? There's potential stories there, but it depends on who's writing it or directing the TV series, and how well they're done.
Yeah. And I just think of like some of the big questions that have come out of the sequel trilogy, like where did Palpatine come from? I mean, I know a lot of your dedicated fans, they know about like the cloning and there was multiple Palpatines out there. And that was kind of, Snoke was kind of like a testing pilot for these cloning. And you even see that in Rise of Skywalker, where you have all those like Bacta tank looking things with all like the different body parts of Snoke. So it's kind of giving a little indication about him being a clone. But yeah, your dedicated fans know kind of a story behind it. But if they have like a TV show that can flush that out or flush out where Snoke came from, I mean, I think that would help answer some of those big questions that people have about the sequel trilogy. And if they do it right, and if they do it in a way that makes sense, then I think people will be like, okay, I can get a little more on board with it. I don't necessarily look at these films as my favorite Star Wars films, but I can understand kind of the storyline a little bit better.
Yeah.
So that's just my 2 cents on it. All right. Well, that was actually most of the information that we have. Again, we've all been kind of busy with work lately, but those are kind of the main topics, unless there's anything else that you guys want to bring up and talk about.
Star Wars Celebration has announced
that's a good one.
The first 3 guests that they've confirmed.
Yeah.
So some pretty good names too.
Sand is going to be there.
Sand is everywhere. If you listen to Anakin,
California,
it's everywhere.
It gets everywhere.
I mean,
but yeah, in California, it's right there.
Hall of Famer Sand is going to be there.
But yes, so we've got some.
Dustin, that's not confirmed yet. So
it is confirmed.
No, not on this. That's not one of the. No, not one of the guests. Oh no.
That's the Toy Hall of Fame, isn't it? That's not Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, it's confirmed into the Hall of Fame, but it's not confirmed to make a guest appearance at Star Wars Celebration. That's
according to my sources. Sand will be there.
Okay. Let's go to the coast.
Here first, ladies and gentlemen.
That's gonna be a great battle. Hayden Christensen and Sand.
Yeah.
People are gonna get their money's worth seeing Hayden Christensen fight Sand at Celebration.
Well, and Dustin, you can't say "don't ask who my sources are" and then us not ask who your sources are.
My sources are Padme, and the beach.
Padme and the beach. Okay, so very reliable. But the guests that have been announced are Anthony Daniels, so you'll get your C-3PO, Ian McDermott, speaking of Palpatine, and then Ashley Eckstein, so the voice of Ahsoka from the animated series, both Rebels and Clone Wars. So
isn't Ian McDermott Dooku?
No, that's Christopher. What's his name? Ian McDermott is Palpatine.
I don't know why I was thinking that. I apologize for hijacking that.
No, Ian McDermott is Palpatine, or the Emperor, or Darth Sidious, however you want to refer to him as. I'm totally spacing on Count Dooku though.
McClellan or something like that?
No, now you're thinking of like Gandalf.
See, now
Christopher Lee.
Yeah, Christopher Lee. See,
that's
Christopher.
Dang it.
Knew it started with the Christopher.
He also play in Lord of the Rings Sauron?
Christopher Lee? Yeah, Sauron.
Yeah.
And the other guy
Saruman.
And then the other guy you're thinking of is Gandalf.
Yeah.
Ian McDermott, I think, is mostly known for Star Wars Palpatine. So, and then I think, at least from talking from Zach, I think Mark Hamill is supposed to be there too. I just don't think it's been announced. I know he's asked us, if we go to Celebration to get him the autograph of Mark Hamill for him. So, but there will be more guests that will be announced. These are just the first 3. I mean, it'd be awesome to meet all 3 of them. I don't know which one I would choose to. I mean, Anthony Daniels has been in
He's been in all of them.
He's been in all of them. So I think if I had to get one autograph, it would be his. But you can't go wrong with either Ashley or Ian's. I'll just get all 3.
Did you hear this? There's a story that has happened not recently, but Anthony Daniels story of him going to a restaurant. And
I did hear this.
Yeah, and where like the busboy is like all freaked out because he's like, "Oh, it's C-3PO," and he goes and he starts like bumbling over, like, "Oh, it's great to meet you," And Anthony, I'm sorry, I don't think I'm the person you think I am. And when he leaves, he wrote on the napkin, "I am the droid you're looking for. It was very nice to meet you. Hope you have a great day, Anthony Edwards." I was like, that is fantastic.
Such a genius way to handle that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just picturing the poor guy that goes up to him, just how embarrassed he must have been in the moment.
And when he goes, "Hey, I'm sorry," oh, I'm sorry, and just walks away. Yeah, all dejected. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but still, to have that napkin, frame that. And,
oh yeah,
yeah.
That's like a Big Bang Theory when the napkin from Leonard Nimoy. I have the actual DNA. I can create my own.
I can create my own Spock. Please don't cancel us. We know that we're mixing the two, Star Trek, Star Wars, but
we can be forgiven for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of our news and topics that we have for today. So maybe we'll just kick it off into the next matchup for our movies. Greg, do you want to take it away?
All right. So this week we had the Coruscant region saw A New Hope, the 2 seed, facing the 7 seed Rise of Skywalker. And I think going into this one, the results aren't surprising as far as who the winner turned out to be. I don't think, but it was just the number, the discrepancy, the total that that part kind of shocked me a little bit.
It was almost on Ewok adventure level.
Yeah, it was
the difference.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and I get it, to a certain extent, because like I say, if I were to throw a vote in there, my vote would have been for A New Hope.
Yeah.
It kicked off, it kicked everything off. So I mean, it opened you up to all the potential that we are now seeing, that we've seen over the past 50 years, or whatever the math is, 40 plus years. I feel safe saying 40 plus years. So before we get into comments from you guys, as well as the fans, we'll get into the results. So by a total of 328 votes to 14, A New Hope takes down Rise of Skywalker. So the Rise of Skywalker literally takes down the Rise of Skywalker movie. Not surprising, but so A New Hope will move on to our Yavin 4 finals. Mike, I don't know if you want to dive into a couple of the responses in favor of which one or the other, or give your thoughts on the matter, or Dustin, you toss your 2 cents in as far as which one influentially, just because we know A New Hope was going to be the winner.
Yeah,
it carries
going
more influence.
Into it, we knew it.
As you had mentioned, I don't remember if it was off camera or earlier in this podcast. That's how old I'm getting. I just can't remember.
But no gray hairs.
40 minutes ago.
No balding.
There you go. But Rise of Skywalker was, I mean, how much influence can you have as the bookend, as the very last of it? So I open the door to you guys, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely disadvantaged at the get-go. I will give a shout out and credit to the one person who gave a comment in favor of the Rise of Skywalker. So Dan, thank you for your comment. He says, "I think the Rise of Skywalker gave pretty much everything else before it meaning. It sealed the legacy." So he's basing it off of kind of what you're saying. It is the end, but because of how it ended and how the story comes to a conclusion, it gave everything meaning. So the, conclusion, the characters coming together, the defeat of Palpatine, now everything has meaning because of the events that transpired before. So I appreciate that
I
comment.
like that.
Yeah. And I think it's very credible. I think that's a good point. But yeah, I mean, this is and not to get ahead of ourselves, but I feel like it's hard to not see A New Hope in the finals, in my opinion. I'm not saying that's the way it's going to go, because it's not about how I vote. It's about how all you guys vote. So A New Hope, the first movie of a Star Wars movie. And it set the way for all other content that came out afterwards. So what are your thoughts, Dustin?
I think it's A New Hope, and the vote pretty much is what you would expect, given the polarity of the two films as far as what people think. But also, A New Hope started Star Wars, and how could that? Not within the film universe itself, but since we can look at it outside the film universe, it changed movies forever.
Yep. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And going to some of the responses from our followers and our poll responders. So first, a shout out to my buddy Derek. He commented on this one, and he said, and this is referring to A New Hope.
Brother?
No, not your brother. So this one, his comment is referring to A New Hope. He said, "My dad once told me we walked out of the theater and we were in shock. They had never done that before. You could tell the story wasn't over. George Lucas and the franchise changed the ways movies are done. If that's not the most influential, I don't know what is." Mary says, "Not only was A New Hope influential for Star Wars, but really for the entire world of pop culture. A New Hope took the world by surprise with its success and began its own empire." I like the use of word empire there. "It took the classic hero's journey and turned it into an entire saga that has more than a dozen films, numerous books, and now both animated and live action television shows. There's also the entire Legends contributions, as well as other movies, stories inspired by Star Wars. The Rise of Skywalker has definitely made an impact, but not like A New Hope has, in her opinion." Sorry, if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. She says, "It's hard to compete with A New Hope for most influential, especially with Rise of Skywalker, which is the end of the saga, hasn't had the chance to influence much yet." So kind of what you were speaking to is being a bookend, Greg. Like, if there's nothing that follows Rise of Skywalker, how influential can it be if it hasn't, spurred anything new?
But I think that, like, the book that you mentioned, the Shadow of the Sith, I think content like that might, if we do this again in another 5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
If there's more of that content coming out, then I think it might change it a little bit. I don't think it beats A New Hope. There's just,
right. It's
no beating it, but the
hard.
vote might get a little closer based on what content Rise of Skywalker influences going forward.
Right. And then Mark says, "Just can't overemphasize that A New Hope laid down the foundation for it all. Everything else in the franchise traces its existence to that film. Rogue One was the fleshing out of one sentence in an opening crawl. The whole prequel trilogy was filling in the gaps of Kenobi's explanation of Luke's legacy. The sequels owe everything to the Yavin trio and the Death Star. Even Solo was adding context to Han and Chewie. A New Hope also influenced Star Trek," so going back into Star Trek again, "to get on the big screen. It led to Battlestar Galactica twice and reimagined Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon, Firefly."
Yeah, Firefly.
"A great many actors, directors, special effects, wizards, and musicians trace their motivations for their chosen professions back to that film. It's influenced not just in its own franchise, but the full cultural wallpaper of our lives. Puts this crown squarely on the scruffy-looking, sideburns-doning, disco bowl cut head." I think Greg would like that description. He's coughing right now. He put himself on mute, so I'll just go on to the next one really quick before letting him respond. Patty says, "Remember back to the time New Hope was released. Most women in movies fell down and had to be rescued over and over again. Enter Star Wars with a sassy princess who takes the gun, finds a way out, and doesn't dumb down to either guy. This had not been seen before in movies.
Is that true? When was Ripley and Alien released?
That was after. Remember, we were going over like those different sequel movies that have. And Alien was the only one that we were really talking that was before it was Godfather, and that was definitely a male prominent role.
Yeah.
You know,
Michelle Pfeiffer wasn't doing any Princess Leia type activities in Godfather.
Right. And I think when, you know, talking about films, so many people talk about Princess Leia paving the way for, you know, that strong female lead in movies, because I don't look at her as like a secondary character. I mean, there were 3 lead roles in that movie, and she was one of them. So I think she definitely paved the way. So yeah, I mean, there were a lot of responses for A New Hope. So I'm sorry if I didn't get to yours. I did mention on our last episode with Dustin that Britain kind of chimes in every single time, and I feel like we should have his own segment. So I always.
So you mean future podcast guest Britain?
Exactly. I think like when we get to our finals and we get to this point, we have to have him. I'll connect with him and see if he wants to come on and give us his vote for that final one. But I kind of look at his vote similar to, you know, we look at Greg's or Dustin's or my own vote, just to see, curious where his vote lies. And I think we can figure out where this one's going. But Britain says, Rise of Skywalker ended the Skywalker saga. We ended on Tatooine where we started 42 years prior. That's the thing. 1977 with A New Hope, then just Star Wars, or at the moment just Star Wars, gave us the galaxy we loved and some love to loathe. Luke, Han, Leia, Vader, Kenobi, R2, 3PO, Chewie, and the Falcon start here. Some of the most iconic quotes begin in this film. The prequels get their start in a few allusions to background and vague references. Regardless of your opinion on it, Rey needs Luke's story to make her own. She can't assume the Skywalker name without it being something to want to be a part of. I realize Leia is as necessary to her as well, and Leia being the self-realized independent woman in 77 is amazing. So kind of tying into what Patty was saying as well. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough for any of these films, even my favorite film, to compete with A New Hope in terms of, you know, influence, but we'll have to see, you know, how the chips fall. So yeah, any final thoughts on New Hope or Rise of Skywalker? The Rise of Skywalker that is now falling.
I just wanted to know who Mark's calling scruffy looking. Gotcha.
Scruffy looking nerf herder. That's what you are. So yeah, if my beard continues to get gray, then you won't see it as much, so it won't look scruffy. But you will be scruffy looking with your thick beard.
That's true.
So be careful. Oh, Greg, you're gonna have to give us our next one. Don't want to forget about that. Our Moraband region, right?
Yes, the Moraband region. This has a couple of interesting, you know, selections. It sees the 3 seed, The Force Awakens. So talking about the sequel trilogy and Rey and that, going up against Revenge of the Sith. So one of the prequels. So one of them is making the Yavin 4 finals. I have in my mind who I think is going to be the winner of this matchup. So this one, I'm real interested, not so much about the votes, but the comments and the explanation from everybody as far as why they picked the movie they picked when it comes to these two.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. And I think we're going to see a lot of comments with responses on this one. And I mean, you're pitting the prequels versus, you know, the sequels. And not only that, it's the last prequel and it's the last sequel movie that remains in this challenge. All other Yavin 4 are original trilogy. You got Return of the Jedi, you've got Empire Strikes Back, after today, you have A New Hope. So who's going to remain? Is it going to be a prequel trilogy, or is it going to be a sequel trilogy movie that goes in?
Well, and arguably you have the best sequel movie against the best prequel movie.
Right.
I mean, in my opinion, that's, none of them touched Force Awakens of these, most recent three. And as you've mentioned multiple times, Revenge of the Sith on its own is a great movie to watch. You don't need to watch it as part of a marathon.
Yeah.
You can just on a random Tuesday start watching it.
Yeah.
By the way, you know who doesn't win in these movies?
Who?
Limbs. All the limbs.
All of them get lost, especially all of Anakin's.
All of them.
All of them? All of them.
All of them.
Well, and I will say, to kind of respond to what you were saying, Greg, if it were in my terms of influence, I would have actually had the Phantom Menace be more influential than Revenge of the Sith. I think Revenge of the Sith is a better movie, and I could watch it. I mean, like we talked about, that's probably the Star Wars movie I've watched the most. But in terms of influence, I would have put Phantom Menace, but that's not to say that Revenge of the Sith isn't influential.
Well, I'm probably right in that same camp with you. I'm just saying, as far as and I say when I said best,
that's true.
The most influential,
right?
So
you said the best.
The most entertaining movie out of the sequel trilogy is facing the most entertaining movie out of the prequel trilogy, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and I definitely agree. It's the best and most entertaining of the prequel trilogy movies for sure. So yeah, we'll be putting our polls up as usually. We'll be looking for your guys' insight and your comments. And just as always, you can get a hold of us on our social media handles: Twitter at DetBlockAA23pod, on Instagram at detention_block_AA_23, our Facebook group Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast, and our YouTube channel Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast, which I'm going to put a plug. We are finally caught up on YouTube. By the time you hear this, we'll be caught up with all of our video episodes on YouTube. I'm going to take a little bow for that. I know it's only taken, however long it has taken, but editing is now done. And I'll be able to keep up with it because I've learned a shortcut that I can kill two birds with one stone. Instead of editing them separately, I can now edit them together.
There you go.
That was the kicker.
Hey, we're a work in progress.
Hey, yeah, we're learning as we go here. So
we're 6 months into this deal? No. August. When did we start? August?
Yeah, I want to say it was August.
So what are we, 7 months? Roughly?
About half year.
8 months, something like that. We're less than a year into this.
Yeah.
And we weren't a polished gem to begin with. So we're getting there.
We still might not be.
Oh, no, we're not. We're closer to polished turd than polished gem right now, but progress.
Part of it.
That's right.
And our numbers continue to grow week by week. And I thought it was pretty cool just to comment. I had someone reach out to us on our Instagram handle that saw our, pamphlets at the store, and he took a picture of it and he contacted me on Instagram, and he was asking me about it. And he was, had some questions in terms of, bringing his own material to the source to kind of promote it. And through that, we now have another follower and another podcast listener. So cool. Even if it's things like that and you want to reach out to us and ask us questions, like by all means, I mean, if you're looking to start a podcast or you're looking to start something else and you want some insight from people who are new, who are trying it for themselves, we'll give our 2 cents. I don't know if you necessarily want to follow it or not, but we'll give you our 2 cents. So,
right.
But yeah, so anything else from either one of you guys? Greg's thinking.
I feel very satisfied with what we've accomplished today.
Yeah, absolutely. I always feel satisfied. Just having the time talking with you guys about Star Wars and being able to now bring in. What was that? What was that, Greg? There was a hand motion. Do you want to explain what you were motioning to everyone? He doesn't want to.
No.
We won't get into that. But yeah, so it's always a great talking with you guys, Star Wars, and talking to you guests about Star Wars, and looking forward to every podcast that we have. So we are Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast, and I'm Michael Mudge. With me, Greg Van Beck and Dustin DeFranco. And we'll be looking forward to talking to you next week and getting through our last Elite 8 matchup and on to the Yavin 4. So looking forward towards it, guys, and may the Force be with you.
House with pools.
The slim down pool house.
Yeah.
So is he no longer pool house? Is he just pool hose?
He's back to pools.
Okay. All right. Talk to you later, guys.
Machine.
Thanks for calling. This is Han Solo, and I'm going to be keeping you company for the next few hours right here on the Midnight Shift. Something's